You might not know this, but you can do wholesale real estate completely online. You can be slinging deals for tens of thousands of dollars without actually sourcing deals in your own town or city. I'm going to be giving you the exact step-by-step method that you need to follow if you want to start wholesaling real estate virtually. Whether you're a beginner starting from zero or somebody that's just looking to learn a little bit more sauce within the industry, this video is for you. By the end of the video, you'll be on your way to getting your first deal under contract within the next few months. Let's get it. First things first, how to source out-of-state deals. Now, one of the strategies that I preach about religiously is driving for dollars, where you're basically going to neighborhood to neighborhood, driving around the area and getting a bunch of addresses written down on a list. Now, obviously this isn't an option if you're in Chicago and you're trying to do deals in Florida. However, you can sort of still do driving for dollars using Google Maps. You kind of take that little yellow guy in the corner on Google Maps, drop him into that neighborhood, and then you can virtually drive for dollars within whatever state you're trying to do it in. Keep in mind, sometimes they don't always update the dates on a year-to-year basis, so the data might be a little bit outdated, but it's totally fine. I've closed deals like that in my local market previously in the past, so that method still does work virtually. Virtual driving for dollars is not the only method that's out there for virtual wholesaling. There are other alternatives, which I would recommend just going onto third-party websites and buying a list of distressed properties. Some websites that you can use is PropStream, Batch Leads, or even kindskiptracing.com. Those three websites that I just mentioned are basically the same exact thing. Some data might be better in other markets. You kind of just got to test it out. But if you're just starting off, the filters that you're going to want to use as a beginner, just go for non-owner occupied houses. So I think on most of those websites, it's called absentee owners. And the other filter that I would want to use is just like 50% equity, 50, 60% equity, absentee owners, 50% equity. The only filters you need to worry about. You'll get a lot of data with that, and it'll give you a lot more options to actually get that first deal closed. I know that was kind of fast. So again, go onto Batch Leads, PropStream, kindskiptracing.com, get a list of absentee owners, AKA also known as non-owner occupied properties, and 50% equity. I'd say get a list of about 10,000 records and you're good from there. Now, once you actually have a list of addresses and you're ready to start marketing out to these homeowners and you want to start getting some contracts signed, my favorite method to this day is still cold calling. You can text, you can leave voicemails, you can send mail. Cold calling is the cheapest. And if you're just starting off, I highly recommend just starting off with cold calling. And when it comes to cold calling, there's a bunch of other alternatives and efficient and more effective ways that you can cold call. You can do it manually from your cell phone, just typing in the numbers on here and giving them a call, or you can even use apps like the Mojo Dialer or Call Tools. Those are softwares that are basically triple line dialers where you input the list into there, it will be on a triple line dialer, you'll call 3 numbers at once. Whoever picks up first, you'll get on a call with. It's very, very effective and efficient. However, you do need to switch out your phone numbers from time to time because they have a tendency to go spam, and nowadays, who the hell is answering spam phone numbers? That's why you'll have a way better contact rate and a way better conversion rate if you just use your actual cell phone. I highly recommend doing it. It's exactly what I did when I first started doing this. I do have a team now that dials for me, but occasionally I'll hop in and do it myself. This is what I started off doing so I can actually get good at cold calling. I'm not gonna get into the nitty-gritty here on the best scripts to follow for cold calling or the most effective framework for cold calling because I have a bunch of other videos on that. Feel free to go check them out, but I'll kind of give you like the Spark Notes version of how a cold call should go. One, try to build a little bit of rapport with them. Nothing extraordinary, just something that can make them feel like they're not on a sales pitch, basically. Second, figure out exactly why they're wanting to sell the property. What are their motivations for wanting to get rid of it? Third, cover the condition. You wanna know how much work an investor is gonna need to put into these properties in order to actually see a profit. Fourth, try to identify anything that could potentially kill the deal. The biggest deal killers are decision makers. And what do I mean by that is any other potential influence that that seller might respect or want to get validation from. For instance, if they have Aunt Sally, who was a realtor back in the day, and the seller values their opinion and wants to get an opinion on the price for that home, whatever it may be, somebody that might have a decision on the deal itself. You want to make sure all the decision makers are there when you make that offer. Another deal killer is figuring out what they need to figure out before they can actually get rid of the property. Is there some memorabilia in the house or sentimental stuff that is lying around the house that they need to get out of there? Is there a family member staying there that they need to relocate, et cetera, et cetera? Figure out what the deal killers are that could potentially hold back the deal in a sense. Decision makers, and I call it procrastination poison. I'm trying to like figure out a way that could, resonate with you guys, but I just call it procrastination poison. What do they need to figure out that they can potentially procrastinate on that will kill the deal? Because, who wants to go to a house, get all this stuff out, or relocate a tenant or relocate a family member? people can start procrastinating on this stuff. And there's a reason why they're off market properties for a reason, because they've been procrastinating their last 2 years of their life trying to figure out a way to sell this property. And finally you gave them a call. So you need to figure out if there's anything that they can potentially procrastinate about, so then you can get it figured out and actually get the deal closed. And then after figuring it out and identifying anything that could potentially kill the deal, you just gotta set up another call to basically make them an offer, or set up another call to talk about next steps. That's kind of like the framework that I like to follow. You can also go watch my cold calling videos for some inspiration as well. Now, as you're making these cold calls, it's very important to know that not everybody's gonna answer. Not every single phone number is gonna be the correct owner that you're looking to reach out to. There's gonna be some wrong numbers, and not everybody's gonna be interested in selling their property. It's okay, understand that. But that leads to my next point, in which super important to make sure you're tracking your data and your KPIs, your key performance indicators. Something that I talk about with every single person that I've helped close their first deal is knowing your numbers and tracking everything to a T. Those two things are super important, especially once you really get the ball rolling with this. The two most important key performance indicators, the two most important metrics, is your connection rate and your conversion rate. Now, what is that? Your connection rate is basically how many calls you gotta make to actually have one of these homeowners pick up the phone. For instance, you wanna be at around like a 10 to 15% connection rate. So if you make 100 calls, you wanna at least get in contact with like 10 to 15 homeowners. The actual homeowners. Don't count a connection as somebody who's like wrong number. That's not a connection. Connection is only when you actually speak to the correct homeowner. And then second, your conversion rate. How many homeowners do you need to talk to for one of them to actually say, hey, yes, I am interested in hearing an offer on my property. Hey, yes, I am looking to sell my property here soon. That is your conversion rate. How many people you need to talk to in order to find somebody who's actually interested in selling their home. I know I'm kind of speed rambling on the KPI section of this video, but if you haven't gotten your first deal under contract yet, don't get caught in the weeds. Just focus on dialing and applying volume. More or less what I'm trying to get at within this section, the KPIs, the data tracking and all that stuff, is that this is all a numbers game, and we need to be doing volume, guys, here. Typically all it takes is about like 50 to 60 offers made on 50 to 60 houses, statistically, for you to get one of those to turn into a deal. So just have that be your focus. Make as many offers as you possibly can and focus on that itself. Now, not to get too off track with this video, one thing that I really do want to mention is that there's been plenty of deals that I've done here in Chicago, in my town, in my city, my backyard, and I've never seen the house, I never met with the seller, I never met the cash buyer, and I never even went to the title company. It was all done virtually. So I really want you to know that this is very, very possible and doable, and I've even done it here in my own backyard. So don't trip too much. However, if you do need to go view the property, you need to get a better idea of it, or you need to let a cash buyer into there, there's many alternatives that you can reference to be able to still get the deal done. Let me name off a few. Calling real estate agents within that market. Real estate agents that have some sort of background in investing. Call out to those agents, give them some sort of piece of the pie so they can take some sort of responsibility within the deal. You know what I mean? So if you need them to go meet at the property, if you need them to meet a cash buyer, things of that nature, you need them to go negotiate the deal in person, give them a little cut of the pie. It can be an agent, it can be a cash buyer, and it can even be another wholesaler. Go join another wholesaling community, go join some real estate group within that market, start networking with some people, get on some phone calls, make some connections, and have them be your boots on the ground. That is something that is huge when it comes to virtual wholesaling, is having somebody that can be boots on ground for you just in case you need somebody to be. Which kind of leads to my next thing, which is finding cash buyers. Again, these cash buyers, if you make a good connection with them, they can be your boots on the ground. Now, how are we gonna find these cash buyers? Let's get into it. So everybody has their different methods for finding cash buyers, but I have one that I swear by and that is absolutely perfect if you are a beginner. Even if you've been doing this for years and years and years. This is by far the best method for finding cash buyers, and I swear by it. I'm gonna link the full tutorial somewhere within this video for you to check out, but here's a brief overview. You're gonna wanna go on Zillow and find properties that meet this criteria. One, they've been recently sold within the last 12 months or so. Second, they're super beat up, where you know that nobody can go ahead and move on in and start living there. There's only somebody that is willing to fix it up, that is an investor, that would want to buy that. Third, it's brand spanking new. You can look into the description, you can search keywords on Zillow like rehabbed, renovated, or you can even look up investor special. Those are great methods to find properties that were either purchased by an investor or were sold by an investor. Again, I know that was kind of a brief overview, but go check out the full tutorial, and it's really quick. It's like 5-6 minutes long, great video. And again, the best method for finding cash buyers. Before I get into this last step, which is title companies and closing, let's give a full overview on everything that we kind of just talked about. You need to source deals. You can do that by virtually driving for dollars, or you can buy a list on PropStream, Batch Leads, or Kind Skip Tracing, get a list of 10,000 records or so, put that into a list, start calling out to these homeowners. You finally find someone that's willing to sell their property at a great price. You put that property under contract, baby, boom. Now you gotta find a cash buyer. You found somebody who's willing to buy it at $10,000 more than what you have it under contract at, boom, you get that contract signed. Now that you have 2 pieces of paperwork ready to go that says, I'm buying the property, and now I have a contract saying that I'm selling the rights to buy this property, you take both of those pieces of paper and you will submit that to a title company. Now, how does this look? I promise it's literally as simple as calling out to a title company and saying this, hey, XYZ title company, I have a property under contract currently, and I would like for you guys to facilitate the closing and pull title. All a title company is basically like a mediator or a supervisor to make sure that the deal gets closed smoothly. And not only that, they also want to make sure that the person that you're in contract with is actually the homeowner of that property. They also take a deep dive into the deed of the home or any other liens, judgments, mortgages on the property, get paid off, then you can actually close out the deal. That's all a title company is for. They take a small little fee. You, the seller, and the buyer can all negotiate on who's paying all those fees, who's paying the closing costs. It's not that deep, and don't overcomplicate it. It's super simple. The biggest things that you need to be focusing on right now is making calls, generating leads, making offers, and getting contracts signed. That is the biggest chunk that not a lot of people get over when they start wholesaling, where they end up usually giving up on. Now, if you want some guidance from somebody who has done it and who is still doing wholesaling, I have a program called the Inner Circle where we make sure you get a deal under contract within your first 3 months of being a part with us. It doesn't even matter if you're on the younger side too. We literally have guys who are 20 and 21 years old who are absolutely crushing it under our guidance. And for example, we have one of our students, Jared. He's living in Hawaii. Not a ton of wholesale opportunities out there, but we actually have him sourcing deals with our other students that he's networked with in Atlanta, in Indiana, and even in Texas. If you like the sound of that, go check out the link in the description. Hope you guys found this video helpful. I'll see you in the next one. Love you guys.